Are Black women just desiring to be treated like white women? Is that the solution to the Black maternal health crisis? All right, so we are back, and it's the first time I get to have Dr. Trista all to myself. I am so excited to talk about this topic. Okay, this topic is a little bit controversial. And are Black women just desiring to be treated like white women? Is that the solution to the Black maternal health crisis? Let's talk about it, because that clip from Amsterdam says a lot. And I personally, this is my personal response, am stunned at the response to this particular clip. So, Dr. Trista, it's good to see you. Good to have you back on the virtual couch. Oh, we're going to talk about this one. So we're just going to jump right into it. So for everyone who may not have understood what was going on in the clip is a Black woman, a sister, who wants to have a vaginal birth after a prior C-section. Now, some of you may have watched our recent talk in which I described sort of this underlying discriminatory factor in what's called a VBAC calculator. So it's a calculation that takes into consideration risk factors that may increase a woman's unlikelihood of being successful with having a vaginal birth after prior C-section. There's lots of controversy about it because the prior calculation included a patient's ethnicity, whether he or she, I said that correctly, transgender included, whether he or she is considered to be Hispanic as an ethnicity, and it also included whether he or she is considered to be African American. And those two factors are considered to be a lower factor or a less likelihood of having a successful vaginal birth after C-section. That got a lot of feedback of the controversy behind it because, our success rate is so multifactorial with a lot of things that are discriminatory. So the things that makes us less likely to have successful VBACs has to do with racism to begin with. And so then to get double counted was, very obviously discriminatory. So the calculation changed, but here's the kicker. The new calculation still includes hypertension as a risk factor. Now, yes, hypertension may be an independent risk factor, but guess who's more likely to be hypertensive? So nonetheless, this particular clip brings to light the discrimination behind and the disparities behind the use of these types of calculations. And in this particular clip, the sort of dramatic moment of the clip was when the doctor comes in and says, treat her like a white woman. Pause. But to me, it felt like the dramatic, pinnacle of that scene and cut. You felt
it, right? You could have been on the back.
Here he comes to the rescue of the Black woman who they were just about to put under the knife for a C-section. But nonetheless, so what I want to know before I share my response to that clip, and you may already be able to tell what my response is. Dr. Trista, when you saw that clip, what was your first thought? What came to mind?
Well, part of it is, I think the very first time I saw it, like you were saying, it wasn't quite in the forefront of my mind that yes, that this is part of what the calculations would have been in before. So it was kind of like, this is really how they do it? And then, oh, really? That's how we solve it? Like, okay, so we treat her like she's white, and that changes the calculation. And I mean, I guess that magically fixes it, right? Because that's all you have to do. I mean, if that's the case, then hell yeah, treat me like I'm white too. That's all. Just treat us like we all white. Like if that would actually magically fix it. Mm-hmm. No, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. So it was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I hope she had a vaginal birth.
Yeah, I didn't see the end of the clip. I don't know what the outcome was, but because I don't
Neither
watch the show, but this clip caught my
do I.
attention. But I like the point that you raised, which is really important for people like myself to know that a lot of Black women in general, probably a lot of the public, don't even know that this calculator exists.
No, no.
I don't use it
And
personally.
as a health professional, I don't know that I did not remember this about it. And it's like, okay, so when you talk to some clinicians, it's like, and we know that maybe even historically it used to be this kind of thing of if you had one C-section, you have to have all the rest of them by C-section. I've heard that a lot growing up,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
knowing, noticing, seeing, and not personally experiencing, but community wise and people that I've known experiencing their abilities to go and have vaginal births, multiple of them beyond having a C-section at some point in time. And so it's kind of like, you know, are we having those that are just going to be this stickler by the book and very narrow practicing, this is what the guidelines say and this is all that I'm going to do? Or are we going to have clinicians that actually use the science, the art, well, they use the science and present their art in the art and science of medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And take it more as an individual and looking at the person that's in front of them, right? Because if the person has hypertension but they're physically active and they're managing it well, then does it matter as much?
Let me tell you, some of my hypertensive patients are more fit than me. Okay.
And this is what I'm saying. There's just so much that goes. There's so much that goes with um like it becomes that perceptual thing. It's like just because you have hypertension doesn't mean you're overweight. There are a lot of people who are hypertensive and are skinny as hell.
You got that right. You very much
So
got
it's
that
like,
right.
what is it that we need to, all right, what is the science behind using this calculations?
So
Is it based on likelihood
mhm.
or causative?
So that's a great question. So the science behind it is that these are factors that have been sort of known to and have other studies showing that they have been linked to having a less likelihood of having a successful VBAC. Fewer risk factors you have that will prevent you from having a successful VBAC. So it's really a calculation. It's a predict. I like what you said. I see how you set me up. It's a predictive factor, right? So it's a prediction. It's a prediction based on scientific research. But at the end of the day, it's a prediction. The overall success rate in general is anywhere between 60 to 80% for the average American female, a woman, or average American pregnant person. So that's how I approach it. And then I go through the history, not just from a physical standpoint, but the mom's perception of C-sections, her belief system. We talk about a multitude of things because a lot of my patients make decisions that are not just always medically related. Sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
make decisions based on, I have to have a more predictable outcome because I don't have people at home with the kids. So I much rather be able to go in and have a scheduled C-section. Then others will say, because I have other kids at home, I want something that I can be mobile quickly. I want to have a
Right.
vaginal delivery. So it's you can't really predict how a woman's going to make that decision because there's so many social factors and personal belief
Mm-hmm.
systems that feeds into that final decision. And you can't push her based on a calculation, because the calculation is really just a calculation. So the key is really that the woman has the information she needs to make the decision. So why do we even care about this particular calculation? Why are previous C-sections or previous surgery in general such a big deal? And I talked about this extensively in one of our recent videos, but for those who may not have caught that video, I give you a snippet of what I said, but definitely go back and watch that video in detail. It's because of the risk of opening of that uterine scar. That's what everyone's concerned about. And I like the point that you made about what about the art of medicine? Well, the art of medicine flew out the door when people started suing a lot, for example, right? And so I think that just watching how medicine has evolved over the years and watching the increase in the lawsuits related to medicine. I think what has happened as a result of the field is that people are they feel more comfortable relying on things that are scientifically proven rather than the art of medicine or the personal relationship with the patient. So that people can say, well, I practice according to the standard of care, right? So the standard of care is what a lot of people use or a lot of professionals use and hide behind because they feel, well, at least if I'm practicing by the standard of care, I'm somehow more protected from these suits if something unexpected and negative happens. And a lot of medicine is the unexpected. Oftentimes things don't go the way you expect it to go. And
It's not a
and
controlled science
right.
experiment.
And sometimes, things people seem to forget that a lot about people's health and life is really out of the control of even the individual or the science, but we all try to do our very best to make sure that we give our patients the best outcomes. But a lot of the decision making is also up to the patient as well. So I think that balance is hard for clinicians as I've watched the field over the years. And I think has been a reduction in the art of science. Like when I remember starting medicine, and I used to really watch the old school guys who practiced medicine, who knew everybody in the family. They took care from the grandkids to the grandparents, and they knew the whole family, the belief system, how the family celebrate religious holidays, and everything that is not just scientific but personal. And I don't see that anymore. I don't see that type. It's very rare to see those types of circumstances where you have the longevity of care, where you have multi-generational impact on a family. You don't see that as much in medicine. And I think that over the time, there has been a strain in the relationship between patients and doctors and clinicians in general because of sort of the societal impact on medicine. So to your point, I think we've definitely lost some of that art of medicine for sure. But I would definitely say when I saw this clip, and I saw this clip, and what's really, really interesting is that I saw this clip initially on other medically related platforms or advocacy platforms. And I was stunned at how this clip was being hailed as, yes, let it be said again, because I gasped when the main actor or the main character make the comment about treat her like a white woman. And I get where they were trying to go. I see you, Amsterdam. I get what y'all were trying to do, Amsterdam. I see y'all. But I think that the messaging is problematic. Yes. Because I do think, to all the points that you've made, and what really startled me was that's the statement, that's the messaging you want the public to hear, that treat her like a white woman is the solution. And I see what you were trying to say. I think the underlying message was, take away the Black factor. But the problem is you can't take away my Black. You can't turn my Black into white.
Right.
And Black people, at least the Black people I know, are not trying to be treated like they're white. They're just trying to be treated like human beings that have the same human rights as any other race in any country, wherever you put us. That's what we want. Because my concern from my young brothers and sisters who are still molding in maturity is when you say treat her like a white woman, that it can be interpreted. I'm not saying this is what the intention of the writers. It can be interpreted that for you to receive a certain level of care, you must be seen as someone else. And that's a problem. I don't want to be seen as someone else.
Also, just this kind of your superiority of one over the other. Like it's reinforcing the thing that you're trying to supposedly bring to light, if that's what it was supposed to be.
That's how I felt. Now, that may not be how y'all felt, but that's how I felt. I was like, this kind of almost emphasized the same problem to begin with. And the other point to it also, Dr. Trissa, for me, was the fact that our stories are not the same, right? So you can't completely treat me like a white woman, because a white woman is less likely to be hypertensive. She is less likely to have some of these outcomes because her lifestyle is, and her privileges are much different. So when I step up to the plate, I'm bringing more likely as a Black person comorbidities with me. I'm more likely bringing trauma with me. I'm more likely bringing the effects of poverty with me. I'm more likely bringing a multitude of things that a white woman doesn't bring to the table either, because her experiences are not the same. So you can't just treat me like you would treat her, or you would miss a whole lot of things about me. You would miss my historical history. You will miss the disparities I may have experienced. You may miss the fact that I have had environmental exposure to toxins, which
Right,
does have an impact on my health. So you can't
right.
just treat me like a white woman, but I get where you were trying to go, but I just don't think that that's the solution. I think it makes it more problematic.
I agree. I agree. I
So then
agree.
how do you treat us?
Like human beings, like the people that we are. You take us as we are, understanding that our factors, that more than just that, that we're not homogenous. We're not all the
That part
same.
too.
So you can't treat us like a white woman and have every pregnant person be treated the same. We're not the same. You and I are different. Yeah, we're both Black women. Yeah, we're both Black professional women. We're still different. Treat the patient.
Mm-hmm.
Treat the patient that's in front of you. Use your standards and treat your patient
That's a
because they're the.
perfect. I like that you brought up the fact that we're not homogenous, because to your point, as we're talking about the outcomes of Black women in America when it comes to maternal health, we don't see the same outcomes when it comes to immigrant Blacks. So that's such an important point to make. Like, yes, immigrant Blacks, we are more likely to have certain outcomes. But when you look at the comparison of African Americans and the outcomes of maternal health from African American women to immigrant Black women, it's not the same. Immigrant Black women still have better outcomes. And so
Mm,
that's a great point that you
mm,
pointed out, that
know that.
yeah,
Didn't
it's such a great point to point out that we are not homogenous. So you really got to see us for who we are, because if you don't see us for who we are as an individual, you're going to miss a whole lot.
yeah.
And then you're going to assume a whole lot too.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why this, why do you think that this caught on with such support? Because that part surprised me, that there were so many platforms that were of
Like
brown
promoting
and
it.
Black skin that were hailing this as like, yes, this is great, including platforms that are at the forefront of the fight for maternal health. So I was really perplexed by
I
the support of this messaging.
I think
I'm stunned.
I think that folk are at a loss for where to go with it. They're at a loss for what to do to really help. Like, and because I know I feel like I wish I could say that I have, I get in my brain and I think I know so much sometimes. And it's like, yeah, well, maybe if we do this and this is how you can work this. So, but I'm at a loss. Like, I'm personally, literally at a loss. Like, I'm not sure how we make these changes. And I think maybe folk are starting to grasp at straws because they feel desperate. It's like time is
Mm.
going and we don't have those concrete, tangible things to put in place to really make the changes that we want to see. So it's like now anything that they see that they feel like maybe it's something they're pulling for. Like that's what I would think about it.
Oh, I see. Like it's a step in the right direction. Like it's better than at least now we've actually acknowledged the fact that the calculation is discriminatory. And now
Yeah,
it's made public appearance, that now publicly it's known that the calculation exists and that it's discriminatory.
something. We grasping at straws,
The
but something.
low hanging fruit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh. Well, I'm hoping that we do more than just, this, and that we are really reaching for what we have been seeking all along. We are definitely not a part of a person. We're a whole being. and require the attention. And I would say even more so than any other ethnicity or race because of what we have experienced. We have a whole lot of catching up to do in the healthcare system to make this life experience even equitable. We're not even asking for equality. We need things to be equitable because equality assumes or equality ignores the fact that we don't start at the same starting line. So it will never be fair for equality.
Right.
We're looking for equity, which means you put us a little bit further because we have more catching up to do, if that makes sense for everyone. So that it's overall fair. And I'm personally, like I said, I don't use the VBAC calculator. I have never used the calculator in my entire career. These babies have a mind of their own. We can't control everything they do. But the far majority of them have done amazing. And I'm such a supporter of VBAC, especially for women who are looking for larger families. Again, this is assuming that the patient doesn't have an issue that contradicts her ability to VBAC. But especially if you're thinking about having a larger family, having multiple 4 and 5 and 6 C-sections is so risky. It's so risky. So given the fact that the far majority of people will be successful, and that is our stats, the far majority will be successful, I think each woman should be given the right to really strongly consider it as an option. Just like for women who decide, I don't want nothing coming out down there. And there are women like that, and that's their business. But as long as they know the pluses, the risk, and they're making that decision for themselves.
An informed decision. That's all
exactly.
You can do.
Say that one more time, Dr. Trista.
And an informed decision.
I gotta keep that tongue in my mouth. So that being said, thank you, Dr. Trista, for hopping on the couch so we can have this. We had to have what they call it, a family meeting. We had to have a family meeting about this topic. Okay, because that video is still circulating. And I'm like, why are we still supporting this video and not really talking about the nuances of this messaging? So I am so happy to be able to have this opportunity to call this. We had to call a family meeting about this conversation. Okay, we needed to have a family meeting because we needed to talk about this topic. So thank you, Dr. Trista. And where can they find you to find out more about how you feel about the art of medicine?
TristaJob.dpt on Instagram.
And I am Dr. T, the hand behind the handle of healthybump.club on Instagram, and right here on YouTube, we are Healthy Bump Club, our home. And we thank you all for watching this video. Let us know, how do you feel about it? What do you think about the messaging? Perhaps I'm wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong. Okay, I will admit when I'm wrong. If I feel like you brought a strong point that I need to think about, I'll think about it. So let us know what you think about it. Maybe I was the only one offended by the comment, or maybe Dr. Trista and I were the only ones who were like, that sounds a little shady. Are we overreacting to this? Perhaps we are. Let us know. We ain't scared. We're scared.
Art, life imitates art. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay. We're about to log off so I can find out what that means. All right. So when you're done there, make sure you don't forget that we are partners with Apple Music, and our De La Soul music just started streaming. Okay, for all the De La Soul fans, which I know I am. So if you are trying to catch up, sorry, it ain't on Apple, it's on Amazon. Never mind. Maybe we'll need to work out a partnership with Amazon too, so we can get in on those coins. But nonetheless, still check out Apple's. There's Apple Music. There's so many other artists that you can check out that have their music streaming. And then when you're done there, if you really want to support us directly, just go ahead and buy a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a bucket hat, a tote bag. We got options. We got options for y'all, of course. And until then, we see y'all in next episode.